Bring in Judge Andrew Napolitano to talk about these things as we watch the President Marine One about to depart to land directly at the White House. Judge, the Attorney General has been very clear on where he stands on this issue, and he says the investigation is officially underway.
Well, look, the Attorney General needs to investigate, and of course he knows this, and this is what he's directed the FBI to do, whether or not this was an organized effort. Did this awful person who's now in custody in Virginia have a plan or a plot with others that began in Ohio and ended with the murder of this young woman in the streets of Charlottesville? And if so, who are these other people and what was the nature of the plan and the plot? That is the type of motivation that the FBI is looking for that, quite frankly, the Virginia authorities are not concerned with, because their jurisdiction ends at the Virginia state border. They're just concerned with the crime as it was manifested in Charlottesville. So depending upon what the FBI finds will determine where he is tried first. Typically, the federal government goes first, but in a case like this, where the evidence of guilt is overwhelming and the charges filed can bring a life in prison, not capital punishment, but life in prison, it might actually be a waste for the feds to prosecute him if he is tried, convicted, and sentenced to life in Virginia. But if the feds do discover that others were involved, they would be derelict in not prosecuting the others because they would have participated in the commission of this crime.
Yeah, Judge, I was going to ask you, because there's been a lot made of the fact that he was from Ohio and that there are many others who showed up there in Charlottesville who are not from that community, who are from a lot of other places. We've seen this in past protests and bad actors who show up in places at events that have no personal connection to them, but they want to get in on the action for whatever motivation it may be. So for those who may have crossed state lines to come there and wound up getting involved in violence and other issues, could there be additional prosecutions past this young man and anyone who may have been directly involved with him?
Well, look, it is certainly not a crime to go to a rally and listen to it. I mean, that is the essence of protected speech, and as we know, hate speech is protected under the Constitution. We know that from a long series of Supreme Court opinions. That's beyond dispute, as recently as the ones involving the Westboro Baptist Church, where the hate speech is utterly horrific and intolerable, but protected. So if they came there to listen, if they came there to cheer on, that's absolutely protected. But if they came there to perpetrate a crime or to help somebody else commit a crime, that's the type of thing that the FBI needs to find out. There's a long series of potential federal crimes that they would have committed if they left one state for the purpose of committing a crime in another state.
And again, we're watching Marine One as it departs from Joint Base Andrews with the president on board for a quick trip in Washington during his break, his working vacation. A lot of big meetings on the schedule there today. He'll touch down at the White House shortly. Of course, we will monitor that. But judges, we look ahead now so people have a realistic expectation. These things take a long time to play out, whether we're talking about the state case here, unless maybe there's a plea deal, or whether what the feds have now launched this investigation. We shouldn't expect, barring something unusual, that this is going to be wrapped up anytime soon.
I think you're right. I mean, as indelibly marked in our memories are the images of what happened this past weekend in Charlottesville. This will fade from our memories before it comes back to us. These prosecutions, as you say, unless there's some very, very unusual plea deal, these prosecutions take a long time because of the nature of the investigation involved. The young man already says he can't have a lawyer. The public defender recused himself. All these things are going to cause delays. This will not be resolved in 2017.
All right. Judge Napolitano, thank you for weighing in. Good to see you.